Mercedes W15 for 2024 is a game changer, so we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is Mercedes are taking a huge gamble on the W15 that could be a game changer in F1. Toto Wolff has admitted Mercedes could get it wrong as they plan a total overhaul of their car. Mercedes went back to the drawing board after the W14 proved to be just as problematic as its predecessor, and the team will now spend the winter building an entirely new car for the 2024 season. But Wolff has admitted that despite the success that has come out of their Brackley base, there is no guarantee they will get it right. After 2 years in the doldrums, Mercedes are hoping the W15 will be the car that propels them back to the front of the grid. But that is no easy task. Red Bull's dominance in 2023 meant they could switch focus to 2024 early on, and having already had a head start, that is a lot of ground for Mercedes to catch up. Wolff then says Mercedes will start over when it comes to the design, but has warned they could get it wrong. "We are changing the concept," he told media, including planetf1.com in Abu Dhabi. "We are completely moving away from how we laid out the chassis, the weight distribution, the airflow. I mean, literally, there's almost every component that's being changed, because only by doing that, I think we have a chance. We could get it wrong also. So, between not gaining what we expect, catching up, and making a big step and competing in the front, everything is possible." One man who will be hoping they get it right is Lewis Hamilton, who felt last season the team did not listen to what he wanted. "I remember it feeling exactly the same," he told the BBC. "And that definitely was not a great feeling. I really had high hopes. In February, when we do a download of where the car is going, I was a little more apprehensive because the previous year it was like, the car is amazing, it's unique, no one's gonna have anything like it. And then we get to the first test. So, I was a little bit more cautious when I was listening, and I was like, we will see. And then the car had all these problems. I just knew it was going to be a long year. I'm sure there were frustrations because I had asked for certain changes and they weren't done. No one knew exactly what the problem was," he adds. "No one knew how to fix it." Mercedes is looking to rectify a brake issue ahead of the 2024 F1 campaign that almost led to Lewis Hamilton retiring from the end-of-season Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Hamilton and Mercedes were forced to manage the problem throughout the final stint on the hard tires, bearing in mind that second place in the Constructors' Championship was on the line. The 7-time F1 champion managed to drag his W14 to the checkered flag in 9th place, with the 2 points scored thankfully not missed due to Red Bull's Sergio Perez dropping from 2nd to 4th after incurring a 5-second penalty for causing a collision. That elevated Hamilton's teammate George Russell into 3rd position, allowing Mercedes to hold off Ferrari by 3 points in the constructors' standings. Offering a full explanation as to why Hamilton struggled in the final phase of the 58-lap race at the Yas Marina circuit, head of race strategy Rosie Waite said, "If you pick through the data and correct for things like the age of tires, the track condition, Lewis's performance was actually pretty similar through stint 2 and stint 3, but the race situation made it look quite different." In stint 2, Lewis was on fresh tires chasing down Fernando, whereas Fernando was on older tires and spent most of that stint in the dirty air of Oscar Piastri. That makes Fernando's performance look worse than it was in reality, and Lewis therefore looks stronger. Take stint 3, and the positions were reversed. Fernando had slightly newer tires than Lewis and fresh air, and Lewis was in the dirty air of Fernando with the older tires, and so that's why his performance doesn't look as impressive despite the lap times being quite similar. The other thing to be aware of is that Lewis was managing brake issues throughout the race, which was a real reliability concern. So our number one priority was making sure that we got that car to the finish and didn't have to retire it. That will have affected his performance to varying degrees throughout the race, and is something that we are certainly working on to improve for next year's car. Although Mercedes boss Toto Wolff described both his team and Ferrari as losers for finishing 2nd and 3rd behind all-conquering Red Bull, Waite insists the battle to the finish with the Scuderia proved uplifting going into next season. "Ultimately, the aim of all of us here is to win championships, and we weren't able to deliver that this year," said Waite. However, Given the performance we had and the challenges we faced, P2 is a really good result. And so the mood is really one of happiness and relief of having delivered that P2. The second story is Mercedes state they have Mount Everest to climb for 2024 as they set sights on beating Red Bull. Toto Wolff has underlined the task ahead of Mercedes as they head into the winter and attempt to make the gains required to catch reigning world champions Red Bull, describing their chances as against the odds. Mercedes won 8 consecutive constructors' titles from 2014 to 2021, along with 7 world titles across the same period, but have struggled in F1's latest ground effect era so far. Stepping into their dominant footsteps have been Red Bull, who romped to both world championships in 2022 and did the double in 2023, remarkably winning 21 of the 22 races staged, while Mercedes failed to taste victory for the first time since 2011. Mercedes had to settle for the runner-up spot in the constructors' standings via a close fight with Ferrari, and team boss Wolff admitted to mixed emotions after last weekend's season finale in Abu Dhabi. "You know, when you win P2, it reminds you that you lost P1, said Wolff. "I think we need to take it on the chin, be humble about it, and consider today as a good day. Nevertheless, there is a Mount Everest to climb in order to catch up with Red Bull. I have no doubt that McLaren is going to be right in the mix next year, maybe Aston Martin, maybe others, and we must leave no stone unturned at Mercedes factories in Brixworth and in Brackley." Toto Wolff has underlined the task ahead of Mercedes as they head into the winter and attempt to make the gains required to catch reigning world champions Red Bull, describing their chances as against the odds. Mercedes won 8 consecutive constructors' titles from 2014 to 2021, along with 7 world titles across the same period, but have struggled in F1's latest ground effect era so far. Stepping into their dominant footsteps have been Red Bull, who romped to both world championships in 2022 and did the double in 2023, remarkably winning 21 of the 22 races staged, while Mercedes failed to taste victory for the first time since 2011. Red Bull have taken Mercedes' place at the top of the F1 tree in recent seasons. Mercedes had to settle for the runner-up spot in the constructors' standings via a close fight with Ferrari, and team boss Wolff admitted to mixed emotions after last weekend's season finale in Abu Dhabi. "You know, when you win P2, it reminds you that you lost P1, said Wolff. "I think we need to take it on the chin, be humble about it, and consider today as a good day. Nevertheless, there is a Mount Everest to climb in order to catch up with Red Bull. I have no doubt that McLaren is going to be right in the mix next year, maybe Aston Martin, maybe others, and we must leave no stone unturned at Mercedes factories in Brixworth and in Brackley. As tough as it is to be reminded that it's just P2, it's also a great opportunity to come back and drive for the stars." Wolff also explained how Mercedes have gone back to the drawing board for the 2024 campaign as they look to overhaul a Max Verstappen-Red Bull combination that has broken countless records and rewritten the F1 history books. Red Bull started into these regulations in 2022 with a massive advantage and was able to maintain it. And you have to have a lot of respect for their achievement on the engineering side and the driver, the Austrian commented. "Beating them under the current regulations is against the odds. It's clear. But at the same time, we've seen with McLaren where an update unlocked a second of lap time, or AlphaTauri coming strong at the end, and Aston Martin over the winter. There is a key to unlock dramatically more performance. I think us, assessing it in an honest way, that this car is never going to be good enough to fight for championships, we've taken the decision that we're going to go back to the drawing board and come up with something new next year. But Mount Everest is in front of us." The third story is Wolff reveals what F1 will be like in the future of 2026. Since 2022, Formula One has introduced new technical regulations regarding the ground effect of the cars. After 2 not-so-good seasons with these regulations, Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff would rather look ahead to 2026 than backwards. New regulations are once again scheduled for the pinnacle of motorsport in the 2026 season. This time it mainly has to do with the engines. New regulations create new opportunities, and Toto Wolff looks at these chances optimistically. In an interview with Kronen Zeitung, Wolff says that as far as the engine is concerned, everything is clear. The engine must consist of 100% renewable fuel and up to 50% electric traction. One point that still causes uncertainty is that of energy recovery. The current cars with their power units would struggle to maintain top speed with the new regulations at circuits such as Monza and Las Vegas. The biggest challenge for 2026 will therefore be to develop faster and lighter cars, which at the same time are equipped with a battery that allows it to harness the powerful electric drive. Mercedes thus faces another big challenge. The car has to be shorter, faster, and more efficient from an aerodynamic point of view. We aim to minimize aerodynamic drag on straights without sacrificing downforce in corners, Wolff explained. On what the cars will then look like in 2026, the Austrian joked. I don't know if they will be dragsters or little spaceships with wings that retract in a straight line, but that is exactly what makes it so exciting, and that is exactly how F1 should be, which is to break new ground.